Disagree with your E-Verify comments last night. Stopping some illegal aliens from working is better than stopping none. Let's take these statements one by one. I agree with that. The question is, does E-Verify achieve that? Number one. Number two, are there any downsides to E-Verify? Not finding the social credit score line of argument persuasive either. This is only about checking whether their social security number and database and name match. Furthermore, this government database already exists and is already in use in some states. Well, let's take that apart. Does E-Verify automatically create a social credit score system? No. Does it create the means to do so? Yes. Let's understand what this law does. The E-Verify law establishes that your employer cannot hire you, number one, so it's federal control of employment. Is that such a good idea? Under criminal penalties and criminal punishment of your employer. If your employer hires someone that the federal government says isn't verified, they go to jail. So this is giving the federal government carte blanche control over employment. Is that a great idea? In the name of fighting illegal immigration. Is that a great idea? Think that through. Think about all the consequences that come from that. Number two, is there does this create a database of every single individual that ultimately would go to biometric information? Because, by the way, they're saying date of birth isn't good enough. They're saying social security number isn't good enough. They're saying they need at least photo identification. And they're saying even that isn't good enough. They're saying what they need is biometric identification. That's where it's going. Does having the federal government have a database of every single person, where they work, giving them permission to work, is that a good idea to give them that power? The combination of the information they have with the authority they now have, using their criminal punishment penalty powers as enforcement mechanisms. Think about that. You say, oh, don't worry. This will only be used for illegal immigration. The federal government has never, in its history, claimed to have power for one thing and misused it for something else. That's never happened, right? Think about what you're saying. Remember, when the government wants to do something pernicious, they never sell it to you on some policy you don't like. They sell it to you on a policy you are eager for. So we need to control the internet to go after child porn people and to go after terrorists. That's it. That's all. That's why we need all this control over the internet. This is why we need all this secret censorship that ended up taking place. Well, we don't need it for censoring political. We would never do that. No, of course not. We're the federal government. This is just for terrorism. This is just to make sure no child porn is happening. I mean, how many times do you take the bait on that before you realize that ever giving power to the federal government, giving license to the federal government, is giving them a license to do whatever they want with that power? You're not going to be able to restrict it or restrain it. And what I've said is I would have less objection to the E-Verify law if they would limit it to what it's supposedly about. Limit the criminal penalties and punishment to only being applicable if you hire an illegal immigrant. Take a look at the law the House just passed. Does it do that? Is that what it's really about?